Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for our virtual Rebel Recharge lecture. I'm Gabrielle Engel, a proud 2010 Boyd School of Law alumna and your UNLV Alumni Association president. It is my honor to personally welcome each of you here today. I would also like to give a special welcome and thanks to Blake Douglas, Associate Vice President for Alumni Engagement and Executive Director of the UNLV Alumni Association, Renee Rivera-Gelfi, Coordinator for Programs and Events, for producing today's virtual lecture. We have a great lineup of engaging events coming up this summer, and we hope to see you there. You can see our full schedule of events at engage.unlv.edu/events. Our goal is to continue to grow our programs and events and create fun, educational, and engaging opportunities for our alumni, faculty, staff, students, and community members. Our next virtual Rebel Recharge will take place on Friday, June 17th, and is entitled Rebel Recharge, How to Alumni, whether it's been 10 years or 10 days. Today's discussion is entitled Rebel Recharge, Power Up Your Personal Brand, presented by Dr. Darren Vetter. University of Nevada, Las Vegas Career Services is where Dr. Darren Vetter resides to help students. He has an expertise in resume writing, cover letters, interview skills, and job searches. He can also assist with networking and LinkedIn profiles. His previous work experience includes College of Southern Nevada as a tutor and over 20 years of business management experience. In business, he managed the summer internship program and was active with the company working career fairs for recruitment. Additionally, he has worked in the Job Corps program, helping students in vocational school and higher education. His EDD is from Oklahoma State University, and his master's and bachelor's are from Texas State University, San Marcos. He has numerous hobbies, including recently publishing his third book with BNN Press. He's a volunteer with Nevada Promise as a mentor for first-generation college students. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Darren Vetter.
Thank you very much, Gabby. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it very much. So there is the beginning of the presentation. So before I start sharing this and I talk about all this fun stuff, like who is this guy and what is his brand? So I'll tell you a story. When I was young, I was 9 years old. My parents are lucky enough to live on a river, and we have a boat, and my brother wanted me to water ski. I had never water skied. I was like, that's stupid, I don't want to do it. So he says he threw me in the river. I say I got in the river. And so when I got in, he only gave me one water ski. And I was like, well, people always start water skiing on two. They don't learn on one. And he was like, no, you're going to start on one. And I was like, okay, so I'm in the water. I'm 9 years old. I'm mad. So I get the handle. After my 9th try, I got up on one ski. So I started water skiing. And then the next week, I go back down to the cabin. I'm with my dad. My dad pulls me skiing. Then I ski with my brother. And then 3.5 years later, I'm in my first water ski tournament. So I'm a slalom skier in a water ski tournament, and I'm not even 16 years old yet. So over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, I started skiing a lot of water ski tournaments. So while I'm doing this, along with slalom skiing, I started riding a kneeboard. Then we learned how to barefoot water ski. So if you ever want to see something fun, YouTube barefoot water skiing. You're going 40 to 45 miles an hour across the water on your feet. So we got into all these different assets of water sports. And then as I was finishing college, I got even more into water sports. So when I got into college, Texas State University in San Marcos, oddly enough, has what? A water ski team. Believe it or not, there's over 100 water ski teams across the country at different universities and colleges, and they are club sports. So I got on the water ski team, so slalom skiing, trick skiing, and jump. So I'm doing 3 different events. And then junior year of college, we are number 10 in the nation. So this all keeps progressing in my life. So I'm surrounded by water sports stuff. After I leave South Texas, I end up living on a private water ski lake for like 6 years, did more tournaments up there, then eventually moved to a public lake where I met a friend of mine. He's still one of my best friends. And guess what? He was a professional wakeboarder for 15 years. So we had sponsorship, we had water skiing, we had wakeboarding going on. So it went from water skiing and slalom skiing and kneeboarding and all these facets of water sports along now to wakeboarding. And then I learned how to do a front flip on a wakeboard. So the water ski evolution of my life just kept going, kept going, kept going. So now are you all thinking about what my brand might be? So maybe is it possibly water sports? So at the same time, I'm doing all the water ski activities. I also was lucky enough to have 2 racing jet skis. So along with the water skiing, I have a racing jet ski that I'm using, that I'm playing with on different lakes. Never got to take it to the ocean, which is probably a good thing. And then at the same time, work sent me out to San Diego a couple of times to do some work training. So while I'm in San Diego, I'm like, well, I got to go out to the ocean and try surfing. So I tried surfing 3 years ago. I lived in San Diego for a year and tried to surf a lot. And I am the worst surfer ever. I can go 10 feet on the board and I crash, and the crashes are spectacular. So that's like the one thing left in water sports that I really want to do one day. And that's like the last thing, is to be a really good surfer. So when I think about it, like if you ask me what my brand is really water sports. So Gabby was nice enough to mention I published my 3rd book. My 2nd book I published after 2010. And when I was thinking about a 2nd book to write, I was thinking about what could I write that would really be interesting, that would really show people more about my personality and what I've done. And so I wrote a book called Water Skiing, Tournament Safety in a Dog. So that is my 2nd book that's published. It's published with Barnes & Noble, but it's a story about a little girl who wants to get behind a boat, but she's scared. So her dad puts her in an inner tube with her little dog. So the first chapter of the book is about the little girl learning about water sports, but she's able to have her best friend, her little dog, with her in the inner tube with her behind the boat. And so that book covers all of water sports. It covers, most importantly, water sports safety and different aspects of water sports. So when you ask me what my personal brand is, that's my personal brand. It's water sports. If y'all have any water ski questions, feel free to reach out. Be more than happy to share information with you and talk to you about water sports. So when you talk about a personal brand, that's what you get into. You get into that information about a brand. So it's the process of how you market yourself to other people. It's the process of what your qualities and characteristics are. But the main thing about your personal brand, it is what bullet point number 2 says, it's me incorporated. And that's the big part. So it's how other people will view you. So when people see you, what do they think? When they see a picture of you, when they hear you talk. So it's kind of everything that you create around this. So it's created throughout your professional career. It's enhanced publications, blogs, presentations, and of course, social media. I'm sure we all know a lot of people who are enhancing their brand on social media, because that is a big one right now. So we go on with this one to the most recognized brand in the world today. So we'll spend a few minutes here talking about brands, because when you think about brands, one thing that always pops out is brand name. So when you're talking about business, brand name is something that's been thrown out for years and years now. Another part of the brand name goes with trademarks. So logos, things like that, those are things that companies own. They own the trademark on those. And so like when you see Amazon, what do you think? Or you see this logo? So most people think, hey, it's service, it's quality, it's getting things in a timely fashion. You can get stuff delivered sometimes to your house in one day or on the same day. So when people see this, there's different things that they think of when they see this Amazon brand. When I see it, I think I need to order paper towels for home. I don't know why. That's what I always think when I see Amazon. Next one. So this one, brands in business. So a lot of these are generated over time, in some case generations. So the same thing with a personal brand. It can be something that you develop when you're very young and you work on over the course of high school, through university, and then through your business life. So this one is a super popular one. It's Hershey's. So it's been around for generations. It's mostly built on reputation. It's built on customer service, and it's offering something unique over time. When people ask me what there is to do when they come to Vegas, I always tell people go to Hershey's Chocolate World. Number one, because it's incredible. Number two, if you like chocolate, there's no better place to go because there's so much interesting things to do there. But I've never heard anybody have a bad experience there, because that's what their brand represents. It represents a lot of quality. And it's chocolate, it's great. And it's lunchtime, so this timing's perfect. So this is one of my favorite pictures ever, because there's no question what this person's brand was about and what he stood for. Equality, social justice, integrity. When he spoke, his actions and his passion when he spoke were what made you know what he was speaking about and what he was enforcing and what he wanted. So the first chat question that we're going to throw out to the group is, what does passion have to do with a personal brand? Because I wanted this to be interactive. So if the chat's open, if you guys have questions, please ask questions and please respond, because we're trying to make this as interactive as we can. And if you want to reply in a little bit, it's fine too. So just go at your own pace. But yeah, does anybody have any comment on passion and a personal brand? Yep, perfect. Makes them stand out for sure for what they believe in. I like it. Good response. Yeah, I mean, a personal brand, it needs a driving force behind it. I mean, that's what it really needs. So if you don't have any passion, your personal brand is not going to do a whole lot for you, right? It's got to be something that you believe in, something that you're trying to take charge of, and something that means a lot to you. Yep, perfect. Thank you, Eric. Excellent. So this slide, some people are going to hate, some people are going to love. A lot of people are going to hate this. That's okay though. So when you talk about a personal brand, I'm a sports guy. I love sports. Tom Brady's one of my favorite people in sports. But when you talk about this guy, because he's 45 years old now, you talk about what is his personal brand, but there's a lot of questions about what his personal brand is now. So he's won a bunch of Super Bowls. He's set a ton of NFL records. He's doing all these things, but to his kids, he's probably just a dad, right? So he's probably a famous dad, but he's probably just a dad. But what some people don't know about him, he's also worked on a company. It's his initials and his number. It's TB12. He's worked on this for years. So they sell different enhancement things for like protein drinks. They have a clothing line now. So they're doing all this stuff that he's developed his own business. So that for sure is his own brand, right? TB12, it's his initials and his numbers. And that's something that I think he plans to carry forward for years. The other thing he just did is he just announced when he's done playing football, he's going to go to Fox and he's going to be an NFL announcer on TV on Sunday. So this guy is the most motivated, crazy person I've ever talked about in my entire life, but that's why he fits in so well with the brand, because the brand doesn't just have to be one thing. It can be a number of different things. And I think Mr. Brady is a great example of that. So are there bad brands? And if so, why? Yes, bad customer service, bad products, bad warranty, bad follow-up, bad service, bad everything. Some brands are not very good. So when you talk about a personal brand, when people create a personal brand for themselves, is it possible for a brand to actually go bad? So something that's not good, that's not appealing or interesting. So this is a fun one. Can anybody think of somebody who has had a personal brand that has been tarnished? That's a perfect one. That's another good one. So there's a lot, right? There's a lot of famous people that have done things at different parts of their career. A lot of these people had great careers or had great lives. They had all this great things going on, and they did something that was what, probably silly, or they weren't thinking about, or they had actions over time they thought were going to be concealed or whatever, and so they didn't turn out good. So yes, those are great. Will Smith just hit something. Yeah, okay, I got it. Will Smith too. I agree with that one. So that's what it is. It takes something that can be bad, that you work your whole life to be this great person and this great example for this passion that you have, and then something happens or whatever, and then it's tarnished, and it's hard. It's very difficult and very hard to recover from some of those things that happens to people. So that can be a really difficult part. So this is one of my favorite pictures: a bad brand or a bad product, question mark. So Wrigley's is one of the most popular brands. It's been around for years, and they have a number of really, really, really great products. So part of this, of all their great products, this is one that may not be so good. So has anybody ever had this gum before? And I would assume everybody has. It's been around forever. And so if you've had this gum before, you know it lasts about a minute to a minute and a half. And so I looked it up because it's very interesting, and it got the 3rd worst rating of any gum ever made. They said the flavor lasts for like 2.2 seconds, and that is absolutely just horrible. But is this an example of a bad product? Because people still buy this like crazy, but do they buy it because the brand is so good and they continue to buy it, even though they know the Wrigley's gum, this juicy fruit, is going to last about 2 minutes? So this is a great example when people run into something, they're saying, hey, what is the deal here? It's a great brand, but some of the products are not so good. We love the juicy fruit. So this is one of my favorite ones. So Red Bull, they have been around for a long time. They are owned out of a company out of Austria, and they have an individual owner that owns Red Bull. But when you look at this company, you're wondering, well, what do they really do? So if you think about the things that Red Bull does, the fact that they do a number of things. They own a Formula One racing team. They own motocross teams, and they sponsor motocross. They sponsor cliff diving. They are part of soccer. They are a sponsor on soccer teams' jerseys. They are Supercross. They're into Supercross too. They are also into sailing. they're into setting records. So when you think about Red Bull as a company, you're like, what the heck do they really do? I was like, oh yeah, on the bottom of the slide, they also make energy drinks. So I think sometimes people forget that Red Bull makes energy drinks on top of the 8 million things that they're involved with. So when I think of their brand, I think about excitement. One of the coolest things that's been done is Travis Pastrana, who is a Supercross guy. So Travis, a few years ago, had an idea. He was on an airplane. He was wearing shorts, tennis shoes, and a GoPro camera. And when he jumped out of the airplane, he was holding a can of, guess what? A can of Red Bull. When he jumped out, the thing that was missing is he jumped out of an airplane without a parachute. So he had one of his counterparts jump out of that airplane like almost, I think, 20 or 30 seconds before him. So when he jumped out, he's parachuteless, holding his can of Red Bull. And then in midair, he catches on to his counterpart and they magically land safety, which is one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. It's fascinating. But when he jumped out of the plane, what is he doing? He's holding this can of Red Bull. So that kind of shows you what that company is all about, what their interest is. So how can you not like Red Bull? I mean, my gosh, okay. It's really good. So one more, because we're in Vegas. Any question on what this guy's brand was? Any question at all? He's rock and roll, right? So Vegas guy, rock and roll. We still see a lot of his, I don't know what they are, clones that are all over the strip and that are all over the place. There you go, the king, perfect. Yes. Those are great responses. I like all of those. But yeah, so Elvis, I mean, he was a guy so passionate about music, passionate about performing, passionate about singing. I mean, it's amazing the fan following that he had then. It's amazing the fan following he still has while he's gone. Thank you, Eileen. The hips. Okay, so you got him covered. But that's the thing when you talk about the brand and you think about these aspects, and hopefully this looking at these different examples kind of helps you all think about it. And that's what it's to help this presentation, is to think about the different parts of a brand. What are they? What can they be entail? What are the different parts and pieces? And so that's why this part is really interesting with Mr. Elvis, because yes, he was super, super, super great. So then we get what makes a personal brand. So what are the parts and pieces of it? So with the personal brand, my thing is going crazy. There we go. So with the personal brand, you start out with your accomplishments. So what have you done? It's what you stand for. So what you believe in, what you think, the person that you are, the traits and characteristics that you exhibit to others. And that's probably the biggest part of the brand, is what you exhibit, how others see you from your actions. How do you handle yourself in different situations? This is a good one. What you've done, created, what you stay focused on, and then seeking to continually make yourself better. So there's a lot of people that have had brands that work really hard and that are working on the same thing, and they spend their whole lives or their whole careers working on these things to continue to improve and continue to get better. And that's what a brand is. It's something that's passionate, they believe in something, and they keep working very hard at it to keep making themselves better and improving on it. So when you think about your personal brand and you want to create one, so you can start one anytime. It's not on a particular time path or time pattern, but you think about, where do you want to see yourself in 1 to 3 years? So how does your work and your skills fit into the world you want to live in? Do you want to do something different? Do you want to go into a different career, a different market? Do you want to try something different? So when you think about those, what kind of projects interest you? Is it anything that you're doing now? Is it things that your friends might do? So things that you can work together on? And then what kind of people do you want to work with? So you're going to build your brand. Is it people that you want to work with that you don't know, that you may need to get involved with new groups of people and reach out? And then what do you want people to do after visiting your website? So this is part of it. If you build a website, you put your information on there, what do you want people to do after it? You want them to either seek you out for your product or your service, right? Because you want them to be interested in what you're doing. And then if someone were telling a potential coworker about you, what would you want them to say? And that's one of the most powerful parts that I think worked. I worked in business for a long time, and I got moved from Los Angeles to San Diego. And when I left Los Angeles, my boss called me and he goes, "Hey man, this is terrible that I moved you." And I was like, "What do you mean it's terrible that I moved you?" He goes, because you've been gone a week and all I've been hearing from all your former employees that you managed was they want you back. You need to come back. They miss you. They miss having you here. And that was the greatest thing I could ever hear, because that means it meant something for what I did in my time that I was there in Los Angeles before I went to San Diego. And so I told him, I said, hey man, just invite me up for some random meeting and then we'll come up. And then he did like a month later. So I was able to go back up and see those employees. But that was a big part of that, is what those employees thought of me and what they thought after I was gone. But that's a big part to think about, is what do people say about you? So this is a fun part of this exercise. So this is Mad Libs. So if anybody's ever done Mad Libs before, Mad Libs are really kind of fun. There's a lot going on with Mad Libs. So you just do it real simple. And it's also kind of a fun party thing to do also, Mad Libs. That's why it's so popular. So you start with like what you're going to say. I'm a blank. I help blank make or build blank. When I'm not blank, you can find me blank. So if anybody wants to share, you can type in the chat, or if you want to unmute your mic and share what you might fill in these blanks. And if you need an example, I have an example, but I'm curious what our group here how they might fill this in. So I'll give you time to think and type. So one way to fill this out is to say, I'm a doctor. I help patients by caring for them. When I'm not taking care of patients, you can find me researching disease. So there's a lot of different ways to write this. So when you write about your personal brand, I didn't even think about this, but I could go back. I could say I'm a water skier. I help young kids learn to ski. When I'm not water skiing, you can find me usually like repairing equipment, because we broke a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Nobody wants to share? Nobody? You don't have to. There you go. Good one, Frank. Perfect. Yeah, that is outstanding. I like that one. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, really good too. I like it. Frank, Renee, those are great responses. But that's just one way. It's one way to think about this. Those are excellent. So number 129, that's really good. Jen, that's outstanding. Those are good. Daydream and spreadsheets, that's good. And I'm glad you mentioned LinkedIn. We're going to get to LinkedIn. Those are great responses. Good job, group. So when you put your bio together, you're trying to put all this information together, what you're trying to do for your brand. So you want to start off with a magnetizing headline. And so you put that together, your target audience, what's your value proposition going to be, and make it extremely clear. You want to share more about yourself. You want to be personable. You want to be vulnerable. You want to be human. So that's the biggest part too about it, is being human, is letting people know who you are. It helps to just share more things about you. And so that way you're sharing information about yourself, and that way people get to know you better. And then include images of yourself, connect to your audience. It makes you more memorable. So people, they know what you're talking about based on your credibility, your skills, your past experiences, your personal achievements, and the things that you've done. And then keep it short and sweet. Put the information on top, edit it, read it out loud, make sure you have everything the way that you want on that bio, and then put that together, and that's what you're going to have. So now we go to LinkedIn. So another part of this presentation. So LinkedIn is, believe it or not, it's the oldest social network site in use today. Number one professional networking site. So number one, over 810 million users, and that might be 820 because I put this together 2 weeks ago. 200 countries, 25 languages. It is really the place to create your brand. It really is, and establish your identity. So 6 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute. I did not know that. That's great to hear, and that's super interesting. And then 58 million companies on LinkedIn, and I think that number has even jumped up. So there's a whole pile of this business world on LinkedIn. It's not just business too. Pretty much every single college, university will have a site built on there, and then there's many different sites that are on there that are built in. So if you look at UNLV, for example, we have several different LinkedIn sites that are built in. And it's like that way with a lot of schools too. So it is a great resource. So when you think about LinkedIn, here's the LinkedIn 101, here's the basics. See everybody, 100% of this group on the poll. That's outstanding. Good job. So you want to optimize the profile. You want to put a headline in, put your headline to work. You want to brand your profile. The important thing is tell people what you're doing. So share information, speak for yourself about what you can do for a company. So that's, again, when you're showing your brand, you're showing what you're passionate about. Find and invite people to join your network. The part that I mess up on a lot that I don't do enough on LinkedIn is the give first. When you go and do other recommendations, answering questions or whatever, the recommendations, I do a terrible job, but I need to do a better job of that. There's a lot of people that deserve more credit for what they do and get those done on LinkedIn. Answer questions, make impressions. Joining groups is a really good one. There's a lot of great groups that are embedded into that system too that are really good to join. Ask and answer questions. It's amazing the amount of questions that can be asked through LinkedIn. It's the amazing amount of answers that can be responded to on questions. You want to add content, put information on there that's relevant, put information that's important. There's been a lot of great postings lately of graduations, people's graduation information that they post on there, different students. I've connected with a lot of students that I work with here. So let's say, hey, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? I'm like, absolutely. And then I'm going to see postings of them later. I'll be like, hey, I remember you. So those are great ways to make connections. And then adding more content. It's also a great way to research companies. It's one thing that we talk about in our presentations when we work with classes through career services. We talk about using LinkedIn as a great source to research companies, not just the company's website, but you can get a lot of information out of LinkedIn also. And then the job search. There's a lot of jobs that are posted on LinkedIn. So that it's a great source for searching for jobs if you are in that market to look for something new. So we're going to now look at a LinkedIn profile. Sorry, it's going crazy. Sorry, I got a computer problem. Sorry. All right, here we go. So this is a friend of my boss, Eileen. So Tony Gladney. So we look at Tony's profile on LinkedIn. This is a great profile that Tony has put together. So when you look through this, you get to see his information right away. So Vice President, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, MGM Resorts International. So Las Vegas metropolitan area. So he's got all his information filled out there. Tells his recent place, right? He's at MGM. He's a graduate of UNLV. Highlights. Says me and Tony both worked at UNLV. And then activity, Tony hasn't posted anything lately. So we keep scrolling down, and then about. So when you talk about your headline, like your branding information, so Tony's information about, Tony's a global business leader at MGM Resorts International, a Fortune 500 company. He has extensive experience in driving global strategies, DEI, business development, corporate communications, innovative employee and communication change programs, as well as talent development. Having over 100 strategic alliances has assisted the company in increasing shareholder value, generate revenue, and continue to contribute to the growth. So look at how much he goes on here and about. So he gives a ton of information as about, and this is what a lot of people don't do enough on LinkedIn. They can put a lot more information in here. So he has done a great job filling out this information. So you can see how much there's on here. There is a lot. So you get down here to his experience. Can I zoom? I don't know if I can zoom on here. Sorry, Minja, I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't know if this screen will let me zoom because I am on a different computer. I don't think it will. I apologize, but I know you can look at this also, I think. Oh, you got it? Okay, perfect. So then we go down to his experience. So Tony's got all of his experience listed. So vice president at MGM. So he worked for the Caesars Entertainment Corporation. And so he's really specific too. The time frame that he's working, he's got everything exactly 8 years, 11 months. So 10 years and 4 months at Caesars. MGM Grand Hotel, 10 years and 2 months, and then Director of Multicultural Affairs. So he was here at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And then before that, professional athlete, San Francisco 49ers. I should have did a poll question. So there's a 49ers fan in the group. I used to be a 49ers fan. And then education, there's this Bachelor of Arts, Multidisciplinary Studies, emphasis on business communications from here at UNLV. And then here's where the endorsement part goes on. So skills, leadership, gaming industry, casino. And so you can see he's got 50 skills listed, and he's got a lot of endorsements that are on there. And then publications, corporate responsibility, MGM outreach program, and then his interests, companies and schools. So when you look at this, he spent the time to put together a profile that is absolutely outstanding. There's a lot of great information on here. But when you see this, and even from the few minutes that we just looked through Tony's profile on LinkedIn, how much better do we all know Tony now from just the 2 minutes that we went through there? You know him a lot better now. You know a lot of information about him. And is it hard to really figure out what his brand is? Not too difficult at all, right? So you can see what he's focused on and what he's doing. So this is a great one. All right, so for this part, LinkedIn success stories. So this will be more chat participation. If you guys feel free to share, if you don't want to share, you don't have to, but has anybody had, with everybody here having a LinkedIn profile, does anybody have some great success stories? Anybody contacted about a job to a recruiter? Have they found you on LinkedIn and sent you a message and contacted about an activity related to your current job or anything that you might have posted? Anybody contact you about something interesting on your profile? So I got a yes already from Eileen, and then any other interesting situation that's LinkedIn related. So anybody have any stories? So Gabby's been contacted. Eileen has stories, and feel free to unmute and share if you want verbally too, you can. Or recruiters, we might have 100% of people contacted. Frank, that's great. Excellent. Great comments on posts. Renee, this group so good. I should have said, has anybody not had anybody contact him on LinkedIn? Yeah, perfect. Good. Yeah, those are great, everybody. That is great response on, and that is showing that, hey, it's working. So I'm curious to go back and look at everybody's profile after this is over, so I can look at each and every one of you and see what you guys have posted and see your information on there. So tips, you guys may not need any of these tips. These are what we share. Good alumni connections, perfect. So these are tips that we share in a lot of our presentations that we do. Frank, it's okay, you got time, update it. So have a great profile picture, add a background photo. Some of them don't have background photos. The background photo does really help. Headline more than a job title. We just looked at Tony's, and his about part goes down pages. There's a ton of information on there. Turn your summary into a story. That's similar to what we just looked at also with Tony's on having all that information that he posted on there. And then list all your skills. The skill section is one that I think it's overlooked a lot. People don't realize that all the things that they know, they don't know how to post them all, or they forget to post them, and they don't list everything that they have for skill sets. And then spotlight the services that you offer. So list things that you know and list information that you know, and that helps out. And then spread the endorsement love. That's the part that I mentioned that I was terrible about. I'm trying to get better about that, is to go in and offer endorsements that people deserve. And then skills assessments, verified skills, and badging. So badging is the one thing that does relate back to career services. So we have a new program called Career Lunch that's been out for a while that works through the Canvas program for students here. And so students are allowed to get, I believe it's 6 badges. I think they're all completed now, but it's leadership, communications, things that are important. And when they complete those badges, they'll say, where do you want it to go? And one of the best places is to take that badge and put it right on your LinkedIn profile. Another thing I know with LinkedIn Learning too, and you complete a lot of their programs too, that they will post badges on your LinkedIn profile also that you'll have on there. And then add comments, share relevant content. So anything you see a friend that did something great, put a comment on LinkedIn. It's a great idea. And then follow the relevant influencers for your industry. So there's a lot of people that I like to follow that are people that are interesting to me and people that I think that do great things and that do different things, especially education related now that I've been here at UNLV for a while. So those are things that I like to look at. So the last couple parts of this, we're going to talk about resumes and cover letters. So when you talk about a brand, when a potential employer is going to look at your information, that's really what they're looking at. Your brand is going to be your resume and your cover letter. So it's to present information to a future employer for them to evaluate you. So a resume is going to be the summary, your education, your employment, and your skills. And it really gives an employer a feel for your skills and abilities. So when you look at your resume and your cover letter, you look at them, you read them, and you're like, if somebody's reading this, then what do they get? What kind of impression do they get? What do they think about my skills? And then what do they think about how well I fit into their organization? So it should include aspects of your brand. And then the cover letter is there to back up and enhance the resume. More description and include, guess what, more passion for why you want to apply for the job you're applying to. I have a lot of students that I help with cover letters and alumni that I help. And on a lot of them, we talk a lot about the passion statement, because I always will say, where's your passion statement? They're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, why do you want to work for this company? And they're like, oh, I need this in my cover letter. This is one thing I'm missing. I don't really write a statement that says, hey, here's why I want to work for you, to give them some information on why you really want to do it. And then that cover letter is brand recognition, support for who you are. So the personal brand. So this is part of it that we show in career services and that we teach. A cover letter should include an interest statement for the job you're applying to. Backup information about your skills, your experience, and the passion are all part of the letter. And then what we show is the best way to write a cover letter is brand. So not quite Mad Libs, but a little bit similar to it. My blank, blank, and blank make me an excellent candidate for this opportunity. So, and you could word that however you want, but this is a great way to put this line into a cover letter. It's one thing that we encourage quite a bit with all the students, alumni, and graduates that we work with here. And it's just a great way to make that cover letter really stand out. So it can be my customer service, my accounting skills, and my whatever. Make me an excellent candidate for this opportunity. So there's a lot of different ways you can fill it out and put that information together. Any questions so far, or any general group questions? So this is the meat and the potatoes is done right now. I got a couple more things to go over, but this is like the main parts. And you still have time. So if you got questions, ask away. So for all this information that was given to you, so Career Services is here to help. So we can help you with skills assessments, with the LinkedIn profiles, with career searches. If you have Handshake accounts, or if you don't, set up a Handshake account. So there's a ton of job postings, a ton of internship postings that are on Handshake. You can set up a profile on Handshake. And then here's our email address, unlv.edu/career-services, and the main office phone number are right there to contact us. So if anybody has any career needs or whatever, please reach out to us. We are here to help. I've had a lot of alumni contact me too over the past couple of weeks too. So we've been working with a lot of alumni on different things. And then coming up also, we have an event next Tuesday, so May 24th. This is for alumni. So we have 30 employers that are registered. And I believe we have quite a few participants that are already coming up that are registered for this event. So it is a mixer, gonna start at 5:30. And this will be working with 30 different companies. And this will be kind of an informal way for people to meet and greet and spend time getting to know each other. So that is going to be at TAM next Tuesday, I'm sorry, at 5:30. And then there's all our social media to get a hold of us. So Renee, that's all I got. That's the whole thing.
Well, thank you so much. It was amazing. Lots of good information. If anyone has questions, feel free to unmute yourself. That's why we have Darren here to answer your questions. We have some other members of the Career Services team to answer any questions. They're here to serve our alumni, so we appreciate all your time today, but please feel free to unmute yourself if you do have any questions. And if you stop sharing your screen, we can see everyone's faces if you like.
Sorry.
Maybe that would.
There you go.
There.
Perfect.
Perfect. I know that we have Minja on the call, and I know that she utilizes LinkedIn very well. She is involved in the community a lot and is constantly posting success stories, networking opportunities, upcoming events. I know LinkedIn is a really great way to promote events. I know that's one way that we promote some of our events. Minja, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any success stories specifically to LinkedIn? Because I know that you're very active and I do see your posts daily. So you're really good at utilizing LinkedIn.
Hello, everyone. This is Ninja, like ninja, but with an M. Yes, I'm on social media 24/7 because I'm a zillennial between millennial and Gen Z. And I actually have an online newsletter. It's very small and it's not making money. It's my passion project. And I grew my newsletters, LinkedIn account to close to 2,000 followers now in the past 3 months. And when we get like over 100,000 impressions per month, I can show you guys the page. I just shared an article this morning about the city of North Las Vegas announced their new chief of police. And now this post has over like 100 likes right now. So LinkedIn is great for business content, professional content. That's why I like LinkedIn the most. And then I'm also aware of the privacy issue. So on my LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is not like Instagram where it's like a photo gallery. LinkedIn's kind of like Twitter. For a lot of your old posts, you won't get a lot of engagement if it's like over 2 weeks old. So I'll go back to the old posts and delete some of the posts that shows my pictures and my locations. You know, it's just my personal thing that I do. But I am on LinkedIn every single day, engaging with people.
Yeah, I definitely need to get better at that, but you're really good at that. So I just wanted to point out that I see you. And so I always know what Minja's doing out in the community because she's really good at engaging on LinkedIn.
Thank you. And yeah. I love tagging people. Every time when UNLV Alumni Association shares a picture, I always tag Blake, I always tag Renee, Amanda, everybody, because tagging people can increase even more engagement for the post.
Yes. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions? Again, Darren's here to answer any questions or if you have comments. All right. Blake, would you like to provide your thanks and then we'll go ahead and close.
Sure. Thanks, Renee. And thanks, special thanks to Dr. Vetter for sharing those insightful comments and information. I think especially right here after commencement and for alumni, that's very timely and relevant information. It jogs my memory to check my LinkedIn. It's one of the few social medias that I don't go to very often, social media sites that I don't go to very often. So, but it is important to keep it updated and relevant. So it reminds me to give my own a review and a check here sometime soon. But thank you, Darren, and all of you that have joined us today. And I do hope to see you on Tuesday at our first ever alumni career mixer career fair. We've got a great lineup of employers and quite a few alumni that have signed up to join us. So hopefully you can come over to the TAM Alumni Center Tuesday at 5:30 and join us for a fun evening. So other than that, I wish you all a great, wonderful weekend and hope to see you at our next Rebel Recharge. Thank you.